Hello and welcome back to Divorce Den. If you are watching this video, then either you've been served with divorce papers or you're anticipating that you probably will be soon. So the first thing I'm going to tell you is that no matter how overwhelming this can feel, and it will feel overwhelming, stay calm, listen to these steps, make sure you listen all the way to the end, and make sure that you are keeping a clear head and understanding that there is a path forward. Okay, so step one really has to be stay calm. Do not panic. Literally what you have in your hand is just a piece of paper at this moment, right? I'm not saying that it doesn't have legal significance. What I'm saying is as soon as you're handed these papers, it can feel overwhelming, even if you're expecting them, right? And let's be honest, a lot of times people are expecting them, but you want to make sure that you're staying calm and you're not panicking and you're accepting the papers, putting them to the side and getting your emotions in check before you start looking at them. Understand that what you're being served is not a court order. And what I'm talking about now is the initial stages of getting divorced. It's either a summons with notice. It's basically a summons is what we file with the county clerk in order to get an index number, a number assigned in order for you to get before the court. So all that's happened so far is a summons with notice or a summons with complaint where everything is laid out that your spouse is asking for, but it's basically putting you on notice. I, the other spouse, am asking you for a divorce. There's nothing in there that's obligating you to do anything. As long as it's not a court order or anything else, if it's just a summons, it's just putting you on notice. So take a minute, remain calm, understand that you're going to feel all of the feels, and that's real. But just take the paper and put it to the side and make sure that you're remaining as calm and logical as possible, as much as you can. Step two, once you've gained your composure, you do want to read through everything. You want to make sure that you fully understand that it is a summons and that there isn't something in there that you're obligated to do as far as paying support or appearing somewhere at a certain date and time. Again, you just want to make sure that you read it all the way through. And if for whatever reason you start reading it and there's anything in there that's overwhelming that you don't understand, you should immediately contact an attorney and make sure that you are having that reviewed and read so that you know what you're obligated to do. Do not think that, oh, just because it's a summons, I don't have to answer it. Absolutely not. If you don't understand what it says in there, which we'll talk about as far as the time that you are required to do something after this, then you need to make sure that you speak to an attorney immediately. Again, the summons is going to be the document that sets out sort of the legal framework as to how your spouse can get divorced from you, how the two of you can get divorced from each other. So you want to make sure that you're reading it carefully and you're understanding what the timelines are and what the guidelines are as far as what you should do and what you shouldn't do next. That takes us to step three. It's very important that you know the time frame. So in general, in New York, you have 20 days to answer a summons that you've been handed in person. Answer the summons means there's an official form that you fill out and you file with the court. Again, I'm not your attorney. I don't know what you have in front of you. So you want to make sure that if there's any question, do I have 20 days? Do I have 30 days? Because sometimes you have 30 days. You need to make sure that you're seeking the advice of an attorney and understanding exactly what that time frame is. If you go past the time frame, let's say it's 20 days, you're served on January 1. So by January 21, if you have not answered, put in an answer to this, the court could consider you what they call in default. That means you've failed to appear and you've defaulted on that summons that you were required to answer on, and they can make a determination without your input. Now, I will say, does that happen if you come in on the 21st or 22nd day? I have never actually seen that happen, but I won't say that it won't, because that time to answer is laid out in the statute. You never want to take that chance. So make sure that you're speaking to an attorney and understanding, even if you're not hiring the attorney to help you with everything, please do not go into default on a document because you didn't want to review it with an attorney. Spend an hour, have them read it, let them explain to you, you need to do X, Y, and Z by a certain date, and then you have your bases covered and you do it. And once you have those dates, make sure that you mark your calendar, put a reminder in your phone. No matter what, you don't want to forget about those dates, because you could be served today and it's a Monday and you have a very busy work week. You have a million things going on. You have things happening with the kids. And then you sort of put it to the side and you think, oh, I have about 3 weeks. 20 days is not 3 weeks, right? So you want to make sure that you have everything marked and you are acting appropriately. So now once you have the documentation laid out in front of you, then you want to start to draft your answer in response to everything that's laid out in the summons and complaint. Know that if you fill it all out and you hand it to your spouse, soon to be ex-spouse, or you mail it to your spouse's attorney, that does not count. It has to be filed. Just like we talked about the summons was going to be filed and they would get an index number, you have to now file with the county clerk your answer. And it has to be done in a certain format, so I certainly suggest that you hire an attorney again, at least to review it. And I'm not trying to push an attorney down your throat if you really do not have the means to do it. But when you file something with the court, or you don't, like I talked about before, and then you might be in default, there are serious legal and financial ramifications that can come with it. So make sure that you're taking your time, reading it through, fully understanding it, taking notes on it, no matter what. But please take a little bit of time, put a little money to the side, and make sure that you have an attorney at least review that for you. So from the beginning, now you have yourself set up for success. And please keep in mind that whatever you include in there and you ask for relief from the court, so let's just say it's custody of your children. Your spouse filed a complaint and it says, I want full custody of the children. Now you're filing an answer and saying, I want full custody of the children. Whatever it is that you're asking for and whatever your spouse asked for, that's the relief. That's what it is that you're allowed to ask for. You can't ask for anything more. So that's why you want to be very clear from the very beginning as to what you're including when you file that answer. And if you do decide to hire an attorney to do this, they will do the filing for you. What I'm talking about is if you're doing it on your own. And now step 5, once you have filed appropriately, now it's really up to you. You can consider your options where it is that you want to move forward. Do you want to reach out to your spouse and say, hey, listen, how can we negotiate this? What can we work out? What can we agree to? And write it down. And what maybe do we not agree to? Maybe those are just the limited items that we can go to mediation on. We can have our attorneys speak about it. You and I can work it out. But you want to make sure that you're thinking about and considering your next steps. Just because your spouse has filed in court and because you filed an answer, it doesn't mean this has to be litigated. You can file what they call an uncontested divorce, which means neither one of you are contesting it or fighting it or arguing it. You're both in agreement. That's basically what it means. And you can file that with the court once the two of you have everything worked out, you have everything written down on paper, you have it signed, and you have all the documentation. You don't necessarily even have to go to court, even after your spouse has filed and even after you filed an answer. There is a way around that. And no matter what, even if you're choosing that option where, okay, my spouse filed the complaint, I filed my answer, we did that on our own, and now we really haven't been able to work out the final issues. We've been trying and we haven't been able to do it. It might be time now to actually think about hiring an attorney. You don't want to be waiving any legal rights, and you certainly don't want to be putting yourself in any legal jeopardy by not moving forward with certain things. Again, if you're not an attorney and you don't understand how it works, you might think, oh, I have time to sit back and wait. When in fact, maybe there are court dates that are happening, maybe there are decisions that are happening, and you're not able to necessarily navigate it or read through it. Having an attorney in your corner really will help, especially if you can speak to an attorney about choosing the collaborative process or doing a negotiated settlement where they're speaking to your spouse or your spouse's attorney, trying to settle it to just file the papers with court so neither one of you ever have to go. Next step's going to be to gather all of the relevant documentation that you're going to need for your attorney to help you draft an agreement, or maybe something that you might need in court, as far as your tax returns, your income, your debt, your assets, all of that. Start gathering all of that documentation sooner rather than later. And finally, it's time for you to start thinking about and planning what your future is going to look like. You want this transition to be as smooth as possible, and you want to make sure that you are taking all of the steps necessary and starting to plan out your best future. And just remember, be patient with yourself. Divorce is hard. Getting served with a piece of paper might feel like a gut punch, right? So be patient with yourself. Take some time. Make sure that you understand all of the legal complexities and make sure that you're taking the time to take care of your mental health as well. And with the right guidance and support, you can navigate the complexities of divorce with confidence. Thank you so much for watching, and we look forward to seeing you on the next video where we will continue our discussions about how we can help you create your best future after divorce.